guys, happy Wednesday. It is our 149th day of first grade learning. I can't believe it. Tomorrow will be 150. Wow, wow, wow. Think about if you remember when we used to keep our track in school, all our 10 frames. If you guys remember how many days of school we do and how many more maybe we have. Think about it and find someone in your home and tell them later after I read you this story. Okay? So we are back to read from Frog and Toad, our friends. I love Frog and Toad so much. And the story I'm going to read to you today is called Spring, which is great. The season is spring right now. Frog and Toad are going to get ready to go on an adventure. Maybe. I don't know. And what I'm going to ask for you to do is, after I'm done reading this excerpt from Frog and Toad Are Friends, is for you to make your own list of character traits. Can you tell who I drew? I'm sorry, my illustration's not the best. But this is our silly friend, Toad. Now, I just said our silly friend. By calling him silly, an adjective, right? Adjectives describe nouns, right? By describing him with that silly word, silly, say silly Toad, I am labeling him with a character trait. Now, character traits in a story, right, tell us or show you how the characters in a story, either how they look, how they feel, and how they act. And when you're listening for character traits, you have to listen to what the characters say, what they think, right? Maybe if they don't say it out loud, maybe what they think, right? Some of that dialogue, if they're thinking or if they're saying it. How they feel, right? We've been doing our point of view tasks, and when you tell me what the point of view is, you're thinking about how they feel. And maybe certain characters feel certain ways often, right? Remember in the story we read in Frog and Toad Are Friends, the lost button. Remember Toad was so grumpy. He said, "Oh, my feet hurt and now I lost my button." And you guys told me how Toad was really grumpy or upset or angry in that story. And now that we're reading more and more stories about Frog and Toad, we can pick up his character traits. Sometimes it's hard to figure out character traits in one story, but when you read a series of stories, you get to really know the character, right? You feel exactly what Arnold Lobel wants us to feel in these character traits. So what I want you to pay attention to today is the character traits of Toad. Think about what he says, think about what he does, think about how he thinks, and think about what Arnold Lobel is saying that Toad feels, right, in his actions. And character traits help us understand a story better, right? When you think about the character's point of view, you understand that character better. And understanding the story is what a great reading is all about, when we can understand that story. And character traits help us identify, well, I've felt that way before too, right? And you say, well, I understand Toad a little more because I know I felt that way too. So when you can make a personal connection to that story. So as I'm reading this to you, I'm going to think of some character traits about Toad as well, and I'll put mine up on the board, but you think about your own also, okay? Spring. Frog ran up the path to Toad's house. He knocked on the front door. Knock, knock, knock. There was no answer. "Toad! Toad!" shouted Frog. "Wake up! It is spring!" "Blah!" said a voice from inside the house. "Toad! Toad!" cried Frog. "The sun is shining! The snow is melting! Wake up!" "I am not here," said the voice. Frog walked into the house. It was dark. All the shutters were closed. "Toad, where are you?" called Frog. "Go away," said the voice from a corner of the room. Uh-oh, what's Toad doing? He's still sleeping. Toad was lying in bed. He had pulled all of the covers over his head. Frog pushed Toad out of bed. He pushed him out of the house and onto the front porch. Toad blinked in the bright sun. "Help," said Toad. "I cannot see anything." Well, I know what that's like. I felt like that in the mornings when I'm really tired and the sun hurts my eyes and the light hurts my eyes. And maybe Jack and Thomas and Mr. Egan are saying, Miss Egan, wake up. Right? And I'm like, I felt that way before. He feels tired. And when you feel tired and people want to talk to you, maybe you feel a little grumpy, right? Let's put that on our list. Toad, can he be grumpy sometimes? Yeah. Grumpy. Let's see what happens. "I cannot see anything." "Don't be silly," said Frog. "What you see is the clear, warm light of April. And it means that we can begin a whole new year together, Toad." "Think of it," said Frog. Oh, Frog is feeling so happy. He feels good on a nice weather day. I feel like that too sometimes. When it's beautiful out, I just want to go outside and have fun. "We will skip through the meadows and run through the woods and swim in the river. In the evenings, we will sit right here on this front porch, and count the stars." Oh, Frog, that's so nice. "You can count them, Frog," said Toad. "I will be too tired. I am going back to bed." Toad is not interested at all. He is definitely grumpy. Toad went back into the house. He got into bed and pulled the covers over his head again. "But Toad," cried Frog, "you will miss all the fun." "Listen, Frog," said Toad, "how long have I been asleep?" "You have been asleep since November," said Frog. "Well then," said Toad, "a little more sleep will not hurt me. Come back again and wake me up at about 1/2 May." Half, right? Our math are at half. So when half of May is done, split May into 2. When half of the month is done, about 1/2 May. "Good night, Frog." Toad is definitely grumpy in this story. "But Toad," said Frog, "I will be lonely until then." Toad did not answer. He had fallen asleep. Frog looked at Toad's calendar. The November page was still on top. Frog tore off the November page. He tore off the December page. He tore off the January page, the February page, the March page. He came to the April page. And Frog tore off the April page too. Then Frog ran back to Toad's bed. Toad, wake up! It is May now." "What?" said Toad. "Can it be May so soon?" "Yes," said Frog. "Look at your calendar." Toad looked at the calendar, and the May page was on top. Did Frog trick Toad? He did. But did he do it to be mean, or did he do it because he wanted to be with his best friend? He wanted to be with his best friend. "Why, it is May," said Toad as he climbed out of bed. Then he and Frog ran outside to see how the world was looking in spring. They really are two best friends. So, in this story, we heard that Toad was very grumpy. He did not want to wake out of bed. But something we also know about Toad is that he is a good friend, right? Once he woke up, he was happy to see Frog, and he went outside and they went for a walk and they were going to enjoy the day together. So these are two things. I know Toad can be grumpy. I know he is a good friend. I know, remember the word I said when I first explained that we were going to be doing this about Toad? I said that he was silly. Toad is silly, right? He is silly. How else does Toad feel sometimes? What else do the stories that we've read tell us about Toad? That he's a good friend, that he's grumpy, that he's silly. that maybe he gets upset easily, right? He can get angry sometimes. But on other times he can be really kind, right? So I can't wait to see the list that you come up with. And tomorrow I'm going to read another Frog and Toad story, and we're going to talk about the character traits of our friend Frog. So think about Toad today, come up with his character traits, and then we will read another story tomorrow. Bye, guys.